Going back to what Luca said, which a lot of people went, what? And it was kind of interesting to see people's reactions to this. But when he said, yes, we hired James. We, that's right. We, Luca and Abdy, were part of the hiring of James Gunn. And it's kind of funny because, again, let's talk about this now, because this is interesting. Very interesting. This article that dropped about 6 hours ago on Deadline. It's always so funny because I always go, what am I going to talk about on the opening of the Vodka stream? What am I going to rant about? Because usually that's what the Vodka stream's for. It's for me to pour a full-on drink and rant off about things, and then I just go, oh, maybe I'll talk about this, or maybe I won't even rant off. But then it just seems like the rant gods always give me something. And here we go right here. We definitely do have something, and I just kind of wanted to talk about this right here. Warner Brothers, Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy playing long game, mixing IP like Bodyguard revamp and bold originals and animation despite brutal press. And we know about that brutal press because we kept hearing that they were both going to be replaced. We kept hearing that. How many times have we were hearing that, oh yeah, David Zaslav is looking to replace both of them, possibly with Peter Safran, which didn't make sense because it's like, wait a minute, why would they actually do that when they appointed Peter Safran to be the second half of DC Studios, which is very important? And it seemed like a mix, and even James Gunn said he wouldn't have taken the job without Peter Safran being on that side. So it didn't make sense, but that was, of course, was being put out there, and it was mainly just rumor and hearsay and all this kind of stuff. With this interview right here, with them talking, it doesn't seem like they're going anywhere. It just seems like, 100% Zazie Payne's probably not happy about certain things like Joker and Mickey 17 and things like that, but of course probably just extremely happy with things like what's happening with DC Studios. It seems like there's hype enough where there's things when it comes to Superman, a lot more positivity than negativity. So yeah, it seems like he's kind of happy with certain things, and it doesn't seem like they're actually going to be going anywhere. But who knows? Like I said, we don't know shit. We just hear things, and these trades have sources and all this kind of stuff. So what was taken from this, and I'm just going to pull up my tweet here because I just kind of did the bullet points when it came to this, and I posted. They do talk about this right here. This portion of the article right here that I want to bring up when it comes to all this is this right here when they ask about Superman. How about Superman? I recall you started that one before James Gunn and Peter Safran became heads of DC. And DeLuca says, yes, we hired James in secret to start his Superman script before they took the job. The CinemaCon trailer generated a lot of back and forth and wins the next Batman with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson. DeLuca says, I love Superman. I think James Gunn has crushed it. It's got tons of his trademark heart and humor, and the action is jaw-dropping. It's the Superman I grew up with, so I get choked up when I watch it. I think it's so epic and visually arresting and emotional. The performances are great. It is a 5-star movie to me, and I can't wait for the world to see it. Yeah, we're excited about Superman. James crushed it. And before anybody says, oh, they avoided the question about Matt Reeves, Abdy chimes in and says, we're not in the weeds on the Batman stuff. It's really James and Peter Safran who run DC. We have a bit of other collaboration with Matt Reeves, but Peter and James know he is a writer, director, auteur in his own right, and that it will come when he's written his best Batman script and is ready. So relax. When it comes to Matt Reeves and everything, relax on that. We don't need to talk about that. When he's good and ready and he's going to give the best script he could possibly write, that's when the damn thing is going to really kick into gear. Pre-production is already, I think they're already scoping things and going to locations. Anyways, going back to what DeLuca said, which a lot of people went, what? And it was kind of interesting to see people's reactions to this. But when he said, yes, we hired James. We, that's right. We, DeLuca, and Abdy were part of the hiring of James Gunn. And it's kind of funny because, again, when you look at the discourse out there between, Gunn and Snyder fans, the diehards at least, especially Snyder fans, they were all about championing Pam Abdy and Michael DeLuca on them being the ones, because obviously, yes, they were trying to bring Henry Cavill back, right? They were trying to bring Henry Cavill back. And they did. And what's interesting about that, and I've been saying it, I don't know how long, you guys probably, if you guys have been watching consistently, I don't know how many times I've said when people put the blame on James Gunn firing Henry Cavill, he fired him. And I've always said, I pushed back. I'm like, no, Henry Cavill was promised a contract to return as Superman. So when he showed up in Black Adam and when he said he was back, that was the idea. But then, of course, that all fell flat because, well, if you're somebody like James Gunn, if you're James Gunn and you're going to be hired on to do a new Superman movie, and with what's been happening with DC, with the DCEU, where it's all over the place, things are getting canceled, things are getting rearranged, would you want to just be like, well, maybe I could still try to, have, whatever clay, whatever shapes they're trying to make this clay into, should I just try to continue to do something? No, he's going to give his fresh take and his idea of Superman and be like, no, I'm going to do this and I'm going to give this instead. And they decided to go with that instead of just moving forward with the Superman they already had. And of course, people are going, well, James Gunn screwed over him. And now they're going oh, did Michael DeLuca and Abdy did they screw over Cavill? I'm like, not necessarily. They didn't necessarily screw over Henry Cavill. I think they saw the value in Henry Cavill, for sure. They definitely saw the value. Who screwed over Henry Cavill was Sujihara, Toby Emmerich, Walter Hamada. Those guys are the ones that screwed over Cavill. Those are the guys. Because they just wouldn't do another Superman movie after everything that happened with Zack and with Justice League. They just were they didn't want to do anything with them. And I kept saying this, was they were the ones that were not wanting to do that. And then, of course, Cavill himself was also playing hardball back at them. So there was a clashing between that, as there should have been. Look what they did to Cavill's face in Justice League, for God's sakes. Look what they did to our boy. And then it was Dwayne Johnson, of course, who was also in the mix as well, because we have to remember that 7 Buck Studio, 7 Buck Productions, whatever, and Jaime, they were trying to get that DC Studios job. They were going to send the DCEU into this whole different direction where it was going to be Snyderverse and part new universe, which was going to be the Rock universe, that was going to head out this way. But again, you're working with stuff that has already just been there's been a stigma on it. It's been blah, blah, blah. So that's why I've always said, James Gunn came in and said, here is my pitch. Here is my treatment. And this is what I want to do. Now, mind you, he did write from what I gather in my information, he did write that when Toby was still there. So we can definitely be like, oh yeah, but I do not blame Jimmy Guns for wanting to just be like, well, this is what I would do. This is not bad. So, but it's just going to be interesting to see more of the reaction to this because, again, when it came to the diehard Snyder fans who are pushing very much against DC Studios and all this, how are they going to react to it? How are they reacting to it? And I've already seen they're not reacting all that great when it comes to this. And the fact of the matter is that Pam Abdy and Michael DeLuca were part of the hiring process of James Gunn. They put him into place.